I woke up to the sound of breathing. It wasn't my own, not in the familiar, shallow rhythm I recognized in the quiet moments before dawn. This was slow, deliberate, and deep, filling the corners of the room like fog. I froze under the sheets, heart hammering against my ribs, trying to convince myself it was just the house settling. But it wasn't. It never had been. I live alone in a house inherited from my grandfather. It's an old brick building perched at the end of a narrow street, surrounded by trees that cast long, spindly shadows at night. Every brick, every worn step, carries the weight of history, the kind that doesn't let go easily. My grandfather used to say the house had a mind of its own, but I laughed it off. He was old, fond of stories that rattled the nerves like loose window panes. Until I realized he hadn't been wrong. The house has always been peculiar. Doors open slightly on their own. A clock in the hallway ticks in rhythms I can't understand. And sometimes, when I wake in the middle of the night, I swear I see shadows where shadows shouldn't be. I've learned to ignore it, or I thought I had. It started with small things. My keys disappearing, only to be found in the freezer. Whispers that vanished the moment I turned toward them. Faint footprints appearing on the dusty floorboards. But last week, the unsettling incidents escalated. I came home from work to find every chair in the living room arranged in a circle, facing inward as though someone or something had been waiting for me. I live alone. There's no one to blame. I try to rationalize it. Stress, exhaustion, maybe my imagination running wild in the echoing emptiness of the house. But that night, I couldn't sleep. The breathing started again. This time, it was accompanied by soft footsteps pacing in the hallway outside my bedroom. I grabbed the baseball bat from under bed and crept to the door, pressing my ear to the wood. A whisper slipped through the crack. "Why are you awake?" I yanked the door open. Nothing. Silence. My pulse slammed in my ears as I scanned the hallway. The light from the moon cast elongated shadows across the walls. I took a cautious step forward and stopped. My own shadow didn't match my movement. It lingered, stretching unnaturally, twisting at angles it shouldn't. I stumbled backward, heart racing. That night, I stayed awake, watching the shadows crawl along the walls, listening to the breathing, waiting for something I didn't want to name. By morning, the house was quiet again, as if it had never spoken at all. The next days were filled with a heavy, oppressive stillness. I avoided the dark corners, avoided the attic where my grandfather spent his final years locked away, scribbling in notebooks I never dared to touch. I started noticing small changes, things moving slightly, subtle marks on the walls, as though someone had been tracing shapes with their fingers. Nothing overt, nothing undeniable, but enough to make me doubt my own mind. Then I found the door. It was hidden behind an old bookshelf in the study, the kind of door a carpenter might forget he installed. It was narrow, unremarkable, and had no handle, just a keyhole, dark and hollow. I had never noticed it before. Every time I tried to turn my head, it was as if the air around it pressed against my vision, insisting I look away. But curiosity gnawed at me. I had to know what lay behind it. The key was in the lock. Not a physical key. I didn't have one. But my hand moved as if guided by something external. My fingers brushed the metal, and it clicked open with an ease that felt unnatural. I froze, listening for any sound, but the house was silent. The room inside smelled of old earth and decay. It was tiny, barely more than a closet, lined with mirrors. They were stacked against each other in every direction, reflecting 1,000 fragments of me. At first, I thought I saw my reflection, but it was wrong. My face in the mirrors was pale, eyes hollow, lips twisted into a smile I had never made. I stumbled backward, heart hammering. Then the whispers started. Hundreds of voices, overlapping, echoing, speaking in languages I didn't understand. The air grew thick, pressing against my chest. One of the reflections moved independently of me, stepping closer to the glass, reaching a hand out as if trying to escape. I screamed and ran from the room, slamming the hidden door shut behind me. Days passed, and I avoided that part of the house entirely. But at night, the breathing returned louder, angrier. I started hearing scratching from behind the walls, soft at first, then insistent, like fingernails dragging across wood. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. My reflection in every mirror, every reflective surface, started to look wrong, like it was learning, waiting. It was a phone call that broke me. I picked up the receiver at 3:17 a.m. The screen was dark, and I didn't recognize the number. A voice whispered, so faint I almost hung up, "You shouldn't have opened it." The line went dead. My hands shook as I dropped the phone. I couldn't understand what it was. The door? The mirrors? Or something else I hadn't seen yet. That night, I stayed awake, watching the shadows twist around me, listening to the house breathe. And then I noticed it. A face at my window, pale, with eyes that mirror my own, staring at me from outside. I ran to the door. Nothing. The glass was empty. I began documenting everything, hoping that by writing it down, I could make sense of it. Every sound, every shadow, every whisper. And then I noticed a pattern. The events weren't random. They were synchronized with me, reacting to my thoughts, my fears. The house wasn't just haunted. It was alive, and it knew me better than I knew myself. A week ago, I found a notebook in the attic. My grandfather's handwriting filled the pages, sprawling and erratic. The entry spoke of a mirror room, a hidden part of the house that could reflect the soul. He warned that once the room is opened, it begins to learn the inhabitant, mimic their habits, their fears, and eventually their identity. I read the last line aloud without realizing it. "It will not let you leave." I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it was just old superstition. But last night, the realization hit me. I was not alone in this house. Whatever lives here doesn't just inhabit space. It inhabits me. Every mirror, every reflective surface, every shadow was not just observing. It was waiting for me to falter, waiting to replace me. I tried to leave this morning, packed my bag, keys in hand. The front door wouldn't budge. I tugged, twisted, cursed, but it held firm. Windows locked tight. The house had become a cage. And then I heard it, the slow, deliberate breathing right behind me. I turned, and in the hallway mirror, I saw it, a version of myself, smiling calmly, holding my baseball bat, eyes sharp and unblinking. It raised a hand, beckoning me toward the attic. I know now I am not the first to face it. The mirrors are not portals, not simply reflections. They are predators, patient and intelligent. They learn, they wait, they replace. And the house listens. Every thought, every fear, every hesitation. It whispers. It waits. I'm writing this now because I don't know how long I have. The shadows move closer. The mirrors in every room catch my eye from impossible angles. I can hear my own breathing in multiple places at once. It isn't enough to be careful anymore. It wants me entirely. If you live alone, if your house ever feels alive, remember this. Do not investigate the small oddities. Do not follow curiosity down hidden hallways. The house will learn you, and once it knows you fully, it will take your place. Tonight, I will step into the attic. And when I do, I will no longer be the one who leaves the house, because the house is patient. Title suggestion, The House That Listens. 3 alternative YouTube clickbait titles. 1. I lived alone until my house tried to replace me. 2. The mirrors in my house were watching me. 3. I found a hidden room and it knew everything about me.